Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Corn Belt. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. As we wake up this morning looking at the satellite picture, again, a trailing frontal boundary from an area low pressure across eastern Canada right now has several clusters of thunderstorms ongoing here early on this Friday morning across the southern plains, parts of the Ozarks, and then back into the northeast and parts of the mid-Atlantic. Flip over and look at the radar, and there again you see it, the frontal boundary kind of oriented a little bit further south, and that has made its way through much of the eastern Corn Belt, bringing some cooler temperatures. That's led to some patchy fog in parts of the eastern Corn Belt here, where temps are in the lower 60s, matching our dew point temperatures here early this morning. Now we're going to see that heat beginning to push back into the eastern Corn Belt, a short-lived cool down in that region as we head into the weekend. The last 3 days of precipitation, you can see it focused along that frontal boundary here. Several days of shower and storm activity with thunderstorms producing severe weather at times with large hail, damaging winds, and even a few tornadoes across parts of the Midwest as we moved through the last couple of days. Now we have a renewed threat for some severe storms as we head into the weekend and early next week as a new system begins to move across the northern plains. Kind of two storylines here. It's going to be thunderstorm activity and heat as we head into the weekend. So today, we actually have a moderate risk, which is level 4 out of 5 there across parts of southeastern North Dakota, maybe the far northwest border here of South Dakota, and then parts of western Minnesota. We'll have to watch for updates to see if that's expanded or shifted around, but that is for wind damage there. There is the potential for maybe a couple of tornadoes early in the thunderstorm's lifetime there, and some large hail as well. We're expecting those thunderstorms to grow into a quick-moving line or bowing line segment of thunderstorms, producing potentially widespread significant wind damage. So, again, folks in the eastern Dakotas here, southeastern North Dakota, far northeastern South Dakota, and then into western Minnesota, heads up late this evening into tonight for some strong winds as thunderstorms erupt across that region. The threat shifts into the Minnesota and Wisconsin area as we head into the day on Saturday, and then as we get into Sunday, that frontal boundary kind of lingering back across the central plains. That's going to be key as we head into early next week for thunderstorm activity across the central plains into the eastern Corn Belt. We see a marginal risk here, kind of a low risk for a couple of strong storms anywhere from Nebraska and Kansas eastward into the Great Lakes on Sunday afternoon. Now again, the other story underneath that ridge, heat expanding as we head into the weekend. Heat advisories in effect from the Dakotas, the Central Plains, down into Oklahoma and Texas, then eastward across the entire states of Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, southern Wisconsin. There is, again, we're looking at afternoon high temperatures anywhere from 90 to 100. Very humid, dew points in the 70s. It's going to lead to afternoon heat index temperatures there between 100 and 110, perhaps locally higher in some areas. The reason for all of this, the thunderstorm activity and the heat. Here is our ridge. We've got that across the southern U.S., and then here is the wave that's going to be coming in across the Dakotas and the upper Midwest as we head into the afternoon, evening hours today, and then into Saturday, and then trailing that frontal boundary on Sunday. So why don't we go ahead and just look at the evolution here. This is the jet stream winds as we get started here on Friday morning. Again, here is the wave that comes blasting in, altering things as we head into the next several days. We see that wave pushing across the area as we get into Saturday, and then on Sunday, we see it blasting across the Great Lakes. And again, that's going to trigger several rounds of showers and storms starting in the Dakotas, pushing down into the Central Plains into the Eastern Corn Belt over the next 72 hours. The high-resolution NAM model will illustrate this quite well as we head into the afternoon and evening hours, again watching for clusters of thunderstorms to erupt across this region, potentially producing some widespread significant wind damage there. Again, wind gusts potentially 70 to 80 miles per hour, which can be quite devastating, and at times more devastating than tornadoes with the more widespread, long-lived nature potentially with these bowing line segments as we head into the overnight. So let's take it in. We're at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight now, watching that cluster of thunderstorms dive off to the southeast, potentially making it into portions of northern Iowa and central Wisconsin by the time we get to sunrise on Saturday morning. As we head through Saturday, we'll see a renewed threat for showers and storms across Minnesota and Wisconsin, trailing back into portions of the Central Plains here. Once again, looking for clusters of thunderstorms producing damaging winds being the primary threat there as these quick-moving line segments move off to the east and to the southeast. So Saturday night into Sunday morning, watching for the widespread thunderstorm threat from the central plains there into parts of Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, maybe northern Illinois, tapping into that. And then as we get into Sunday afternoon and evening, again, this is when we had that marginal risk, generally doing something like this along that frontal boundary from the Great Lakes across the central plains back into the high plains there, watching for, again, clusters of thunderstorms, probably producing primarily, damaging wind gusts. So, the next 60 hours of precipitation accumulation here, again, forecast to be heaviest, where we'll see those thunderstorm clusters producing at times locally heavy rainfall and some significant wind damage from the eastern Dakotas down across Minnesota into northern Iowa into portions of Wisconsin. Now, as we take it deeper into next week, again, we're looking at the precipitation anomaly forecast over the next 7 days. We see the thunderstorm activity for the next several days here, but then as we head into early next week, what wasn't shown there by the high-resolution NAM model, which we'll cover here in just a moment, is that frontal boundary lingering back towards the central plains into the eastern Corn Belt. That's going to set up the opportunity for several days of thunderstorm activity here as we head through Sunday into Wednesday of the next 7 days. Another way to look at this here is the probability of picking up an inch or more of precipitation over the next several days, the next 7 days to be specific with you, from the European ensemble model. And again, we see those higher probabilities across the eastern Dakotas into northern Minnesota and Wisconsin, associated primarily with the thunderstorm activity over the next 48 hours, but then also looking at the potential for some a renewed threat for thunderstorm activity in that area later in the coming week. But then here's what we end up with on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with that frontal boundary kind of lingering here. We got the opportunity for repeated rounds of thunderstorm activity, especially across parts of eastern Nebraska, kind of around Iowa, the Kansas City area there, northwestern Missouri, northeastern Kansas, but then the opportunity there even into the parts of the eastern Corn Belt for at least one or two of these clusters of storms across parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. So again, the reason for all of this is illustrated well by just an animation of convective available potential energy, our CAPE, the fuel for our thunderstorms here. And you can kind of see the frontal boundary stalling across the region. I'll go ahead and go through this once again. Again, starting with this afternoon and evening, Friday afternoon and evening. Again, very volatile environment across parts of the central and northern plains. We have the moderate risk across this region. The reason for the lower risk as you head south from there is because this will mostly be capped. We have a lid on the atmosphere there, a layer of warm air in the lower to middle levels of the atmosphere, and that kind of suppresses thunderstorm activity. But here, across the eastern Dakotas into western Minnesota, that's where you've got the combination of high instability, less of a cap, and then the strong jet stream winds coming in to add some support there to give us the initiation of those thunderstorms. But let's take this a little bit quicker. Let's go into the weekend, watching that instability now shifting off to the south and to the east. There's your frontal boundary. You can kind of make it out right now, trailing back to the central plains, and watch how it just stalls here. That's Sunday. Here's Monday. Now we got Tuesday into Wednesday. Each day you're seeing that frontal boundary just stalled across this region with afternoon instability peaking, allowing those thunderstorms to flare up along the gradient between the very warm and humid air to the south and the slightly cooler air off to the north. Again, it just takes a slight little trigger there to get thunderstorm activity going each and every day, as long as that boundary is stalled. So that's something we'll have to watch just kind of day by day as we head into the first part of next week. The European model right now, we'll take a look at the operational forecast model precipitation forecast as we head through the next 7 days. We'll go quickly here. Here is the thunderstorm activity late this afternoon into the evening, lasting into the overnight across parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin. As we head into the afternoon hours tomorrow, watching for thunderstorms again, primarily across Minnesota and Wisconsin, but shifting off to the south and back to the west as we head into the overnight hours. On Sunday afternoon and evening, we'll watch that stalled frontal boundary for thunderstorm activity from the central plains into the eastern Corn Belt. And then that frontal boundary stalls here as we head into Monday. Again, you're just going to see renewed thunderstorm development across this region into Tuesday. And now we'll take it into Wednesday. Of course, we're getting way out there now, so we're going to have to kind of just take this broadly as pattern understanding here and not just looking at the specifics. But then the frontal boundary slowly starts to lift back off to the north as we head into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Could keep some scattered thunderstorms in the forecast here across the eastern Corn Belt, but the bigger story here, I think, may be the potential of heat resuming across parts of the central plains into the Midwest. but continuing to be hot and at least keeping the potential for some isolated thunderstorms in the forecast. So finally, to wrap it up and close the book on the thunderstorm activity, we'll look at the National Weather Service forecast for the next 7 days of precipitation. Again, you're seeing the combination of thunderstorm activity here over the next 48 hours and then potentially additional thunderstorm activity resuming mid to late next week. And then right here across the Central Plains into the mid-Mississippi Valley, the potential for some locally heavy rainfall and more widespread rainfall with the threat for thunderstorm clusters as we head through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of the coming week. So we'll finish with a look at the temperatures. Again, heat builds into the weekend. We've got mid-90s across the high plains today, down to the hundreds across parts of Kansas, with upper 80s and 90s elsewhere across the region. The heat kind of peaks across the Corn Belt on Saturday with temperatures around 100 degrees in the Central Plains, with mid-90s spreading all the way into the Eastern Corn Belt. We see that trough making its way across the region right here, with cooler temperatures across the Dakotas on Sunday. The heat shifting off to the east as we head deeper into the weekend. Finally, a look at your highs on Monday and Tuesday, but there is a signal here with that we may see that heat begin to creep back up as we head later into the coming week. Have a great day, a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you again on Monday morning.